Just wanted to take this time to demonstrate my new layout field type. So this zip right here is the zip that you'll get when you purchase the layout field type, and inside of that zip we get a Bootstrap widgets extension and a layout field type. So the Bootstrap widget extension is just a bunch of widgets that I made, mostly for demonstration purposes, but they'll work with Bootstrap right out of the box. So come in here, I've already made the default site ref, which is what my site ref is. You'll name this whatever yours is. I also create a new directory, Fritz and Andre. This will be the same in your installation. It has to be called Fritz and Andre, because that's the namespace that I develop under. And so we'll bring these in here. Copy those in there. And there we go. So the layout field type is just field type, so that one doesn't have to be installed. But the Bootstrap widgets, those have migrations attached to them. Those ones will have to be installed. So let's go through using the layout field type first with pages. And this will be a very similar process to any string. So we're going to come down here and add a new layout. I'm going to call mine page layout. Then we'll come into types here, and we're going to assign the page layout to the default type, page type. Then we're going to update the content to use the page layout rather than the content that comes with it. Now, this would work with the content, and everything would just show up before or after. But in my case, I am going to just use the page layout to lay out the entire page. So that's everything in here. Then we can come into pages, and we'll now get a page layout area right here. So this skip to add widget is just going to skip to the add widget button here, which will come in handy when you have a bunch of widgets in here. Your pages are starting to get longer. And it'll just skip down to that add widget button. If we click the add widget button now, we'll see that there's no widgets in here, and that's what the Bootstrap widgets extension is for. So we'll come down here, we're going to install the Bootstrap widgets. There we go. And come back into pages, and we get a few widgets that we can select from. So I'm just going to pick the 2-column what you see is what you get widget, and I'll show you how to make these. These are all auto-generated by an artisan command. And we get a left content area and a right content area. Save the page, and when we come back here, we have replaced that content with the left content and the right content. So next, let's go through the steps required to build your own widget. So we're going to add a fancy title widget to this. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to open up a terminal. And from here, I can run the command php artisan make widget, and I'll provide the namespace of whatever add-on I want to add it to. So you can add it to your already existing extensions, you can add it to your theme, you can add it to any add-ons that are already in there. So when I build additional modules that I put in here, I like to add widgets to it so that I can use the page layout widget with whatever module I've built. So if I've got a slideshow, then I'll add a slideshow widget to the slideshow module, and then the layout field type will pick that up automatically. So I'm just going to use the Bootstrap widgets extension that I've already installed here. And I am just going to call this widget a title widget. So we just provide the slug without widget on it. And we'll see that it has automatically created a migration for us. And then if we come back into our Bootstrap widget, you'll see that the migration has been created here. So we've created a title string. And then underneath add-ons, you'll see we also get a title widget extension. So this extension is going to provide its own views, its own code, but most of the defaults are going to work for almost everything that I've done. The migration, or excuse me, the artisan command is going to do a couple of other things. So in order to register these sub add-ons inside of the Bootstrap widget extension or any other extension, we have to update the composer.json file. So you'll notice that this line right here was added by the artisan command. And the other thing is in the parent service provider, you get this code right here that's added in there, which is just going to register the path and the name of the widget with the system so that Pyro will be able to pick up this title widget. So now if we come back in here, you'll see that we get a title widget. Now this isn't going to work yet because we haven't installed it, but it is registered with the system and it's ready to go. So we'll come back to the migration here, and I am going to change this to use just a regular text area here. And rather than content, this is going to be called a title, since this is our fancy title. Oops. Okay. So now, the way that I like to do all of these widgets, since there was probably going to be a lot of overlap in the widget namespace, I like to just give all of my widgets their own namespace, their own fields, their own stream, and their own assignments. So this migration here is a migration that is provided by layouts, by the layout field type, and it'll just give you all of these everything in one spot. So now that we've updated that, we can PHP artisan migrate all add-ons. And we get our title stream. So you'll notice that the widget doesn't come with a default description, so I can only guess so much. I can get, the title and the widget and stuff like that. So what happens is there's the lang folder in here with the add-on, and we can say give it whatever description is going to be helpful for your users. Then when you come down here and push add widget, we get, this is our new fancy H1 widget. So we'll drop that guy in there. And then this is a little bit interesting. So the field translations actually come from the parent widget. So in the Bootstrap widgets, you'll see that there's a field add-on here, and this is where the title translations are going to come from. So now we just get the regular title. And we can save it, and it's saved. Okay, so now if we come to the front end, it's not going to work yet because we haven't produced a view for it. So every widget is generated with a render view. This render view, we're going to update this to have the code for the fancy header. So we can include styles, we can include JavaScript, whatever we need to do to get the job done. And then we put our HTML with the names of whatever fields we decided to use. The widget extension is going to, by default, have content in here. You'll notice that that was the same thing that was in the migration. This is one of the other things that you'll need to update when you're doing this. We can just change this to the title. And now we'll be passing in the title into here. So the last thing we need to do is create this SCSS file. So, just like normal, All right, and now with any luck, we get our fancy heading with our fancy styles that we applied to it. Now we don't really want our heading to show up below the content, so we'll come over here, we can grab our widget and just drop it above the content. And at that point, our fancy heading will be in the correct place.